Right now, the White House expanding its Iran sanctions. The Trump administration imposing economic punishments on 5 officials that they believe are providing the Houthi rebels in Yemen with long-range missiles. It's the latest salvo in the White House's broader strategy to isolate Iran, rein in Tehran's support for international militias, specifically the fights in Syria and Yemen. Iran's foreign minister speaking out today.
Frankly, Mr. Pompeo's comments are baseless and devoid of any logic, and it's not even worth responding to them. It shows that pressure groups are able to influence foreign policy and move policy in the direction of their choosing through financial contributions. Everything that Pompeo talked about on Iran is untrue.
Joining us now is Davis Lewin. Davis is the Associate Director with the Trends of Israel Initiative. He's joining us now from Budapest. Thanks for being with us. I want to ask the question about the Iran deal itself. Can it be saved? The European Union says they're working hard behind the scenes to keep it in place and that the U.S. efforts are really a distraction. But the economic sanctions that the U.S. is threatening, does that complicate everything?
I may have misheard you, but just to clarify, it is the Friends of Israel and Friends of Israel, that they are a group of former prime ministers that works for a honest debate about Israel and international affairs. Look, it's very simple here. Of course the deal can't be saved because the president is completely right, has been set on this since long before he started campaigning. He's been calling this a terrible deal. And it's impossible to understand, honestly, it's impossible to understand strategically what the Europeans are doing. The foreign minister of Germany is in Washington today, with a message on German TV that it's possible to see from here in Budapest, where I am, still going out that he has some fantasies about that he's going to convince the president to stay in the deal. Now, the only way that we can understand this is that the Germans value their relationship with the Iranians more than they value the relationships with the Americans. That's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea morally. It's a terrible idea strategically, and it is impossible to fathom what they are doing. My prediction is it's going to take maybe another week, maybe 3 more weeks, however long it does, before they roll over and come to their senses and join America as an ally on the side against this deeply detrimental regime that is also detrimental to German interests. Even if they do want to sell machinery in Iran, they have to understand, as do the rest of the Europeans, of course the French and Italians and others, they have to understand that the security interests are absolutely paramount and that it's unsustainable, this policy that they've chosen, and I suspect it's not going to last long.
I want to bring in the ambassador into this conversation as well. These latest rounds of sanctions, do they have a clear effect? The Revolutionary Guard is already sanctioned. A lot of Iranian tech companies, arms companies are already sanctioned. Is this really effective to keep targeting individuals within the network?
The answer is in your question, because the reason that the Iranians came to the negotiating table with President Obama and the Europeans were the sanctions, because the Iranian economy was in such a shape, in this totally disarray, that they had to go and to strike a deal with the West. And this will be true also in the future. If America will put sanctions, severe sanctions on Iran, I do believe that it will have an impact. I'm not sure it will have an impact on a change of regime, what is a wish in the West, but at least it will have an impact there.
Davis, I want to bring you back in this conversation with Friends of Israel Initiative. Do you think that Mike Pompeo's 12 bullet points, that list that of demands, is that a pipe dream?
Absolutely not. Any reasonable person that has been sufficiently cognizant of the way that the Iranians really work, which is that they respond to being compelled to do things. This is a regime that's a revolutionary regime that will only respond to matters of regime survival. Any reasonable person that has been watching this, and many of our allies have been saying this throughout the period of this very bad deal, will see that what Mike Pompeo has done is the only way that you can avoid war, the only way that you can get this regime to move by absolute maximum pressures, so that the mullahs in Tehran understand that they have no way forward with this game that they've been playing. And I think Pompeo and frankly Trump have to be given immense credit, of course John Bolton as well. Whatever you might think, politics is the art of the possible, and wherever you may not like them or what they stand for, whatever else, on the Iran issue they are absolutely 100% correct, and you will see the effect in the Iranians. Far from these threats that the Iranians will now go nuts in international affairs, you will see them behave very, very well because they understand that the Americans are serious.
All right, Davis Lewin, thank you so much for being with us with the Friends of Israel Initiative.